Riders Modifications. Riders offers you a host of opportunities and modifications for your mech, including hidden weapons, modified heatsink arrays, and more. Riders Modifications, just a 5-minute air car ride from this Comstar facility.
And we're back after the break. Thank you all for bearing with us during the Riders Modification advertisement there.
I didn't watch it.
When did we get sponsors?
It's not a sponsor, it's just an advert. Anyway, it's the Jenna 2C.
Oh, the Jenna 2C. Here we go. Even in the hands of this trained ape, I'm still not confident he's going to do anything particularly well with it.
Well, this particular standard variant of the Jenna 2C, as we know, is basically an SRM boat.
Yes, and even then, it's still not going to do particularly well.
Well, let's wait and see. I mean, she's fast. We know she's fast because she won.
She did. She won the drag race. Yes, she did.
So we know she's got a burst of speed on her. And now, admittedly, the firepower here is pretty good. 2 SRM6s and a streak SRM4. And I should, of course, point out that they're all clan tech variants. But the damage is basically the same. So the situation here is this little bugger can get in behind enemy mechs and really cause some considerable devastation to their rear armour. And she can leg pretty nastily if she wants to.
Well, as we all know, streak systems are for the weak. The inability to aim your SRMs, requiring you to have a computer do all the work for you, means that it's a definite crutch that you're going to rely on. The 2 SRM6s, yes, can do a lot of damage, but then you're no better than a Javelin at that point. And we've already seen how the Javelin performs here at BIC.
Yeah, I thought the Javelin did pretty well, if you remember. But,
well, because it's in a sphere.
Well, I won't entirely disagree with you on that one. But you see, the difference here is this is an Innisphere design that's just been upgraded with with Clan Tech. And you could take a standard Jenna and upgrade it with Clan Tech.
It's just face planting the wall.
Yeah, well, the jump jets have some kind of issue in this particular...
In this simulator,
this particular simulator.
We've already had an issue where one of the artificial intelligences has crashed out and is just standing in the spawn area.
Yeah, it seems to be trying to decide what it wants to do. Pilot a mech or go on to be something really exciting like, I don't know, a lawyer. But for the moment, the point is, this thing is a pretty good mech. Now, should the caveat, obviously, is it's being piloted by a basically partially shaved monkey at the moment, so obviously we probably won't necessarily see its best, but we've seen our partially shaved monkey get some pretty good scores with other mechs.
He did do well on the Cougar, this is true.
And he just walked straight into a Masakari.
Yes, there we go, 85 tons of sheer terror and destruction.
That's a Warhawk to some of those out there who don't know the real names of clan mechs.
Rare one for you, Eddie, but yes, I'll agree that one was, as they say, a funny.
It sure was, but it wasn't funny for Critical Rocket. He has suffered some horrendous damage and most of his weaponry has now been destroyed.
A miracle he's still alive.
Exactly, a miracle he's still alive. And yet, there it is. The miracle has happened. The Jenna 2C is still, to some extent, in the fight. He still has an SRM6. He can still do damage.
Eddie, it's barely intact. Like most Jennas, it's hardly holding itself together, and it's going to fall apart any second, clan or not. It's a useless mech. Even the clans keep it as a 2C. It's a rear-line mech. It's used by the aging, the crippled, or by those who just don't have the talent to be frontline clan mech warriors. This is the reason why the 2Cs exist. They're not really built for true mech warriors, even in their own society. And that's why the Jenna is here now.
Now, my colleague, I must argue with you there, my colleague. The truth of the matter is that 2Cs and other so-called rear-line mechs are often piloted by good old-fashioned freebirths, people like ourselves, born the natural way, by two people who for a short period of time think they have something in common and actually like each other, and then spend a lifetime regretting ever meeting. But that's the real way, the proper way,
and
God's own way.
He's dead. He just died.
Either way.
So your free birth analogy is out the water there, isn't it?
I still stand by the fact that this is an excellent mech. Maybe the clans could have done more with it.
Well,
but the point is,
due to the error with the artificial intelligences, we had to wait for that to end, so we've done a little bit of editing just to get the scoreboard. And how did the Jenna 2C do, Eddie? Well, let's see. 117 damage, 144 match score, and it was a win, so a whole score of 15. You're proud of yourself, Eddie? As expected, Eddie, you've got no response. But anyway, we're going over to something that is true beauty. Absolute perfection in mechanical form, the Panther.
now here I can't disagree with you at all. The Panther is one of the kings of the battlefield. She's just, my God, she's just a
absolute joy to pilot.
pilot.
Yes, exactly that. Comfort, reliability, solid firepower, good jump jets, and it helps that it looks nice to boot.
Yes, she really is a beauty. Now, some people claim the cockpit is a little tight and snug, but I've always found her comfortable. That tightness actually holds you in place and makes sure you're not jostled around too much. She is one of those mechs that has stood the test of time. The Curitans, they know how to put a mech together. There's no point in denying it.
Well, there's one thing to be said about the cockpit. It's like a nice metallic embracing hug that keeps you secure as you go about your business, tearing apart your enemies in the inner sphere or on the clan invasion front, because frankly the Panther has no equal in terms of one-on-one combat, in my opinion. I've got two in the collection, believe it or not.
I only have the one, but she's seen active service nearly 100 years ago, and I've even left a few of the scars of the battlefield on her, but my God, she's just a great mech. And then there's the weaponry. Now, to some this may seem a little lackluster. A single energy weapon and a SRM-4.
But they're just wrong.
But they're fools.
Completely wrong.
For a start, this is a mech that a novice can easily pick up, but you need time and skill before you truly master it.
Ah, yes, and as we both are certified masters of Panther piloting, not so sure about Rocket here, but even he has grumbled or grunted his like and pleasure in piloting this very mech, and yes, it's just absolutely stunning. If you don't have one yourself in the simulator, the popular series known as Battle Mech Warrior, you can always pick yourself up a copy and have a go yourself. Panther is a great starting point. I'd highly recommend everybody have one, at least one, in their mech base, if possible. Get all the variants.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, most people, unlike us, can't afford the actual genuine article.
I have the one that's the original with the large laser, you know.
Really?
It took a while to hunt that one down, but I did manage to get hold of it, yes.
Is it mostly original parts?
Well, the arm is an original part. I'm not sure about the rest. Can't find the serial numbers, can't confirm them.
Still, though, it's true. I mean, as a city fighter goes, this is a pretty good mech. But out on the battlefield, that PPC can come into its own. Not only does it give you range, but it gives you a genuine punch, a punch above its weight class.
Well, it has the nickname Alley Cat, and usually it's because poor Lyran mech warriors many a time have been ambushed by this diminutive mech as it lurches from the shadows of tall buildings, dropping a fine amount of firepower into the back of them and jumping away before any kind of return fire can be given.
Yes, it's a deadly little package. That SRM-4 is good at both dealing with ground troops, vehicles, and of course opposing mechs alike. And the PPC. Now, it has its distractors. The heat, that obviously problem with locking at close range, obviously a situation that later designs dealt with. Lovely kill there. What was that?
Warhammer 2C, of course, the corruption of the classic Warhammer. It's good to see that the Panther can take one down. Regardless if this may be a losing effort here, he's still shown, in my opinion, that the Panther is still one of the best mechs available.
He certainly has. He's almost done us proud. But then, well, let's face it, most of that's down to the mech he's piloting.
It is,
and that's the Panther.
It's entirely down to the mech. And as you can see, most of his remaining enemies were clan mechs anyway, basically meaning that the only way that they could ever take down a Panther is with weight of numbers and advanced technology.
So let's see the scores on the doors.
His final score was 314 damage, with 256 match score, a kill, giving him a grand total of 30 points. A respectable finish for a mech that's considered undergunned.
By some.
By some. And now we go over to the Raven.
Well, piece of revolutionary tech at the time.
It was at the time, yes. I think it took everybody by surprise, personally.
Especially Lau.
As well. Yes, considering that the Capellans had not had the best of times during the third and fourth succession wars, it was interesting to see that they could still pull something out of the bag and really surprise their opponents in the Federated Suns. The Raven is equipped with 2 medium lasers, an SRM-6 unit, a tag, and a narc beacon. An incredible amount of weaponry given its capabilities as well. It's fast. Its ability to use its Guardian ECM suite disrupts most targeting systems, making it difficult to hit from range and more frustrating for enemy pilots to keep track of in a swirl of combat. The tag laser also makes it useful for being able to highlight targets for artillery strikes and air bombardment. And finally, the narc beacon allows friendly units to focus fire via long-range missiles to tear opponents apart.
Yes, that ability to support its teammates in a fight has certainly made the Raven a real popular mech amongst the Lyrans and any others who can get their hands on them.
Oh, yes, yes.
It really is a gorgeous design, and what they've managed to do with it is pretty impressive.
Aesthetically sublime, yes, I'd have to agree with that. It's one that you can just look at from any angle and see that the Raven is one of the most, I don't know, if nothing else, from a bodywork standpoint, it's definitely one of the most impressive mechs they've ever produced out of the Capellan Confederation. I would also say that the mech here is shown slightly inaccurately, as the simulator has had a little bit of a glitch, and is showing it with stealth armor. This is something it doesn't actually have equipped at the time. I'm not quite sure. We've got the boffins looking into it. Maybe they can jigger something around in the code or whatever it is they do to get that fixed for any future shows of the Raven.
Right, yes. I believe
Jenna.
Supporting his comrade there, as good Jenners do. But yeah, the stealth armor situation, as far as I know, it's on there, but was not of use to Rocket. He couldn't actually engage it. I don't even think he was aware that
I think he was
showed up.
Hammering the button, screeching something in like an ape-like language, and it just wasn't working.
Yeah, as you said, a bug in the system. But the Jenna obviously using its speed and maneuverability here. Now, she's not as fast as either of the Jennas, but she's still pretty quick. A nippy little mech. And she uses it to reasonable ability in most battles. And she can be quite the annoying little bleeder when she gets behind you.
Well, you don't need top speed when you can just hide from the enemy sensors as well. It makes the Raven a good deep reconnaissance unit, which is what's been known with myself and with you and myself, Eddie. We've been known as good deep reconnaissance units, haven't we? No, actually.
Well, there's been a few night outs in Solaris, but I don't want to talk about that here.
not with the Order, no.
But no, that ECM is not only great for allowing it to move into some pretty nasty enemy terrain, but also the big boys like having them around as well.
I just don't understand the apocryphal. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Eddie, but the apocryphal builds that the simulator spits out. I don't know who put this algorithm in, but it generates some frankly disturbing builds. Another Raven that he encounters, the same model, the 3L, and it's equipped with 2 large lasers. It's completely anathema to what the Raven is meant to be doing on the battlefield.
It could be one of those bizarre Solaris battlefield builds, the ones you only see inside the arenas, and no fool would ever actually try to use in a real fight. But other than that, I really couldn't say. And this particular version does have some very unusual quirks to it, as we know. Well, as we're seeing with it showing up as a stealth armor, this mech just doesn't have. Oh! Took the arm clean off that Marauder there.
Yes, Marauder's not having a good time. Can Rocket get a kill, though? That's the question. Here we go. He's thinking about it. No, I think he got the kill. Yeah,
oh my goodness!
Yes, the feed came through. He did. He got the Marauder.
Wow. Well, there you go.
Just like the Panther before him, the Light Mech shows that it can dance with the big boys when it needs to.
Yes. He came in at exactly the right time there. Oh, this is a Battlemaster, famously weak rear armor.
So many people that I've encountered, they just don't realise that the armour on the back of every Battlemaster is basically cardboard. It can't absorb any kind of impact. If you're going to be in a Battlemaster, you need to make sure that you've got friends behind you who can shoot anything that tries to drive or run around the back of you, because honestly, your Battlemaster will not be up long. Oh, and he's dead.
I thought that might be his second
he was
kill.
He was the last one standing. And as we go into the scores,
so what have we got on scores on the doors?
Well, it's 250 as the system is. There's a bit of a delay here, but it's showing us 250 damage, 216 match skill with a kill, not a win. 25 points, respectable result.
Nice.
And finally, Eddie, we come to the Wolfhound.
Ah, yes, the Wolfhound. An attempt to, well, equal the Panther.
A fool's errand, but a noble attempt. It was developed by a joint workforce of the Kellhounds Mercenary Company, very famous. I've obviously hung out with them myself a few times. And the Lyran Commonwealth, as they wanted to make, as you say, something that could counter the Panther. And it was never really going to achieve that, of course, because the Panther is a superior mech in many ways. But it's not to say that the Wolfhound is terrible at what it does.
No, definitely not. Now, obviously, this boats the large laser, which, as you mentioned previously, was the Panther's original heavy punch weapon.
Indeed. It's certainly taken a look at what it is that it's trying to defeat, and try to make some improvements there. Firepower-wise, I'll give it to the Wolfhound. 3 medium lasers in the front, 1 in the rear, and a large laser in the right arm. Now, the simulator, unfortunately, can't actually produce rear-firing weaponry.
Of course it can't.
So, in this case, the rear-firing medium laser is not showing on the weapons diagnostic screen, but the rest of the weaponry is there. And the Wolfhound is a mech that was built not really for speed or reconnaissance. It really is a brawler in 35-ton form.
Yes, just like the Panther, she is really quite good as a city mech.
Yes.
But she can brawl in a number of other locations, and yes, she's got that perhaps slight advantage in the firepower area, but I would say she loses it in manoeuvrability. No jump jets.
No jump jets, this is true. Also, the Wolfhound has something of a soured reputation after that hilariously awful Trivid cartoon series that came out that features the adventures of Adam Steiner. I mean, how many Wolfhounds were knocked out in single shot by clan mechs here and there? It was ridiculous.
Yeah. There was also the very unusual situation where for a while a number of Wolfhounds were manufactured with the most bizarre head mount.
Ah, yes, the strange dog head mount thing. Ah, yes, I'm not quite sure why it is they did that with the Wolfhound. The original was the best. It looked sinister and aggressive, and that's what you want from a light mech.
Well, from what I've heard, the original obviously used a specialised ejection system, and this turned out to be a little bit more expensive and a little bit more difficult to repair on occasion. And I believe that's why for a while they stopped using the original version and switched over to that hilarious looking.
So what you're telling me, Eddie, is that lazy technicians who just couldn't be arsed doing the hard work wanted something easier to make.
The corporation themselves switched it over for a while before switching it back. I believe they made a number of modifications on the original and made it a little easier and less likely to suffer the occasional accidental ejection. And we've all been there.
Speak for yourself, Eddie. Speak for yourself.
Well, of course, as you know, I do occasionally do the occasional seminar for a certain corporation about that problem, but that's for another time.
Well, there's also your spin-off series, isn't there, Eddie, where you actually do dive into the guts of some machines out there, where you're climbing through the literal innards of some of the ancient war machines and showing off some of the many interesting flaws and manufacturing details that went into just making these machines, don't they?
That's right. The truth of the matter is that unless you're one of the engineers who gets to work on some of these beauties on a regular basis, there's a lot of stuff you won't be aware of, all the way from strange little hidden compartments that certain mech warriors, especially a few out there who perhaps decide to skirt the law, used to use for, well, smuggling.
Yes, well.
And that's just one of them. But this particular mech, the strange situation with the head is just one of the odd quirks of this particular design.
Indeed. And for anyone who's interested and hasn't seen Eddie's spin-off series, In the Belly of the Beast, it's up to 3 seasons now, and it's been broadcast across the entirety of the Innisphere, and is soon to get syndication in the Magistracy, Marian Hegemony, and I believe the Taurian Concordat.
That's what we're hoping, It's been bootlegged out there for a while, Season 1 at least, I'm aware. I've heard of a few, obviously, communications from fans out in the periphery, and I
wouldn't
appreciate all
recommend
of
it.
them.
I wouldn't recommend trying to find the bootleg. The quality and the veracity of some of the streams that you can get are very low quality.
They're very low quality. But aside from that, I find that, look, we're not even talking about the mech we're watching. And you know why? That's because, though it's nicely built, it's well put together,
Indeed.
and ignoring the weird head thing that it went through for a while, it's a boring mech. And it's even boring to pilot.
A little bit. It's functional, and that's the problem. It feels very much like an Ancient Earth Terror. That there was efficient German design, assumably. It worked, but it wasn't exactly phenomenal. It wasn't something that you wanted to keep going back to again and again. And that's exactly what the Wolfhound is. It works. It doesn't really light a fire under you when you're piloting it. Not like the Panther or a Warhammer, that kind of mech feel.
It's true. So let's see the scores on the doors, because she survived.
It was a win indeed, yes, but only 180 damage and 238 match score for a rather middling 20 points. And as the scores wobble into shot there, we have our current standings after the sim battles. We have the Cougar in first place with 52, the Adder and Jenna fighting for second place with 38 and 32 respectively. The Raven and Panther joint fourth place, where that can change at any moment in the upcoming Grand Melee, followed by the Wolfhound in fifth with 25, the Firestarter only a point behind it with 24, and finally the Jenna 2C with 23, all to play for at the bottom of the pack there.
And finally, we get to the best-in-class Grand Melee.
Yes, here it is, and they're off. 35-tonners all scrambling now to become the best in class of this weight class thing. That's what's happening, isn't it? Eddie, I'm so excited.
Yeah, you lost it there a little bit, my colleague.
I just want the Panther to win.
Yes, well, the Panther's a good mech, but there's some very nasty mechs on that field, and, well, we already know that there's several that are already beating it, such as the Cougar and the Adder.
Well, the Cougar is, to be fair, is running away with it on this one. The point score is quite near insurmountable difference there, I have to say. But there could be an upset. The Cougar could be the first to get downed here as our mean Solaris fighters take it out on each other there. A lot of pent-up anger and parental issues, I assume, is what they're working out here in this fight.
Yes, Mummy and Daddy clearly just didn't love them enough. And that's great for us, because it means that pent-up aggression is used to just tear their opponents to pieces.
Hang on, what's going on here? Three of them are leaving the arena of equals.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. The problem is these types of people aren't the kind to easily follow orders, even when the orders are to stay in the arena in the middle of an arena match.
Yep, this is probably the reason why they could never actually become true, dyed-in-the-wool Solaris 7 arena combatants.
Oh, that's why, obviously, as some of our fans probably know, the best-in-class Grand Melee takes place in Solaris' outreach area, where a number of less than salubrious pilots get into some pretty nasty, very nasty battle mech matches.
Indeed. I mean, this one was so had the potential to go out of control so easily. We had to bring in 2 Mr. Bigs just in case the pilots got a little too unruly and we needed some heavy firepower to take them out.
Well, there's a lot of little mechs running around here, and some of them don't carry what you describe as little firepower. So even those Mr. Bigs would have to be in a lot of trouble. In fact, I can hear one of them using their very odd voice simulator. Ow.
Oh, and we've got a kill. That's the Firestarter. That's out of the running. Minus 10 points.
And he really is twisted now. Twisted metal on the battlefield.
Indeed. And it's only going to be a matter of time now, as they've been wailing on each other for quite some time, as mechs have been... Oh, there goes another. That's the Cougar. The Cougar is out, although he doesn't lose any points for that.
Wow, that's not what I expected. Now, the firepower of the Cougar, quite exceptional, but it seems that several of his opponents realised that, ganged up on him a little bit there. What the hell is going on over here?
I don't know. I respect the Panther, but the pilot is completely in breach of the rules, honestly, of best in class.
Yeah, there's some very strange things going on here. Very strange indeed. But the rest of them...
Strange animal over there trying to get on.
Yeah, anyway, trying to stick with what's going on.
So, well, I think is the Panther dead? I think the Panther... It's hard to keep track of.
I hope not, but this Raven is dueling here with the Adder, and he's keeping up a pretty good fight. Adder really struggling, just like me to get my words out, to bring his opponent down.
And it's kind of surprising, given that the Raven is such a bright colour. You would have thought it would been the first thing targeted by everybody on the field. But no, there's definite collusion here between the Jenners as well. The Jenners are working as a team.
Look, I won't argue, but it's quite possible that I may have had a little word with the Jenner pilots.
What?
Eddie! Let them hear some of what you said. So I think they may be gunning to win this.
So basically, what you're telling me, Eddie, is that the two Jenners were fully aware of the weaknesses and inadequacies of these mechs and decided to team up in a grand melee to ensure that they may be the last two standing. Is that what you're telling me?
I will remind you that it's not against the rules, unlike the Panther pilot who decided to leave the arena and stand on one of the...
Well, the Raven's dead.
The Raven's down.
Raven's down. There goes the Adder. And, of course, it leaves the two Jenners standing at the end. Well done, Eddie. Well done. You get your little victory. Here we go. There's a clap for you.
It's worked out so well for me. Much better than I could have expected. And oh my God!
The Jenner 2C said the Jenner was the winner. And it's Mr. Big at the end, putting him out of his misery as we go over to the scores. And there we have it, the final standings. As you can see there, we've got the Cougar first place with 53, the Adder with 44, the Jenner with 42 somehow, the Raven with 35, the Panther with 33, the Jenner 2C jumping up a few places to 31 points, so it's 6th, the Wolfhound at 7th with 28, and finally, at the bottom, the Firestarter.
Yes, the Firestarter, quite a disappointing score there.
Yes, but not really unexpected in the end. And that's it for the lights. We're through.
Wow.
We're done.
We're done.
Next time you see us on Best in Class, we will be going into the 40-ton range, where things get bigger, meaner, and potentially badder.
Nice.
Right, and that was Best in Class episode 4 in the bag, in the pocket, done, dusted. Big thank you to everyone who helped me out with this one again with the recording. That includes Inter, Small Fry, Satan's Pooper, Davros Dalek, Mighty Kulsh, Blake Malone, Christina Haas, Naman, Sparkle Dragon, and Digam. Thank you guys for helping out with that. And thank you everybody for watching. As always, I've really enjoyed making this series alongside my brother, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. And we'll see you next time. Bye. Hey, the music ran out. I went over the music. Wow. Yeah, went over the music.
What happens when that happens?
I don't know. It's just silence.
It just goes on forever.
It's just infinite silence that just never ends. Anyway.